Set, go. Welcome. Happy Juneteenth, everyone.
Happy Juneteenth.
Yeah. This is the June meeting of the Shandaken CAC. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we'll do the roll. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Let's do the roll call, Catherine. And thank you for doing the minutes.
Mary Herman, Catherine Duval,
Beth
Waterman, Bruce Barry, and Robert Cruikshank, and Caleb Frank. Thank you.
Yeah.
And Angel's on Zoom.
And Angel is on
Angel.
Zoom.
Yes.
Thank you, Leanne.
I'm wondering who that was.
All right. I circulated the minutes that Catherine did from last meeting, and
We got him.
They were so late.
I move to approve the minutes.
Second.
Bruce moved and Rob seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now, I have a list of communications here. Many of these are emails that I have sent to you in the course of the month, but I just wanted to bring them up again. The first one is the Phoenicia Farmers Market is looking for people to sit at a table and talk about the CAC. I did this once in the winter, and it's always rewarding. You get to meet people and learn about their concerns, and we have our banner and so forth. So I believe that in the email that I circulated, there were dates that, yes. I don't have a copy of it. There was one date in July and a couple of dates in October, so, it's filling up. If anyone is interested, willing, let me know, and or you can respond directly to Leah Perloff at the farmer's market, but let us all know and we can help out, you don't have to do it alone. I'm just looking for someone to take the lead on it, that's all. Ulster County Fair is also looking for volunteers. The fair is I believe it's the first week of August 1st to August 6th. And they have morning, afternoon, and evening slots available. So I think it's there's a Ulster County Fair Climate Row. So it's a climate table. Please email me and what would work for you. The education session, which is prior to it, will answer all your questions about what's involved, which is largely engaging kids with activities that are planned and educating both kids and adults on how the climate smart communities is combating climate change by reducing greenhouse gas emissions. A great opportunity to share your knowledge, educate the county community, and meet CSC members from across Ulster County.
I think we should be there. August 1st through 6th.
Yep. Yes. The education sessions were on June 8th and 20th, so hopefully they'll have more education sessions between now and August 1st.
And this is just for.
Do you want to look into it?
I'd like to look into it.
Okay.
Do you have a copy of this I can have?
You can have that one. I will be out of town.
Perfect. I just want to see what the requirements are as far as how many hours and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And, if we set up a CAC table.
Well, I think they have the table and
They
we
have the
man
table
the
and you
table.
just-
I
got
think.
you. Okay.
That's my That's my
That
guess.
would be much simpler.
Yeah. Ulster County Resource Recovery, UCRR, A, is offering master composting classes. And I circulated that to you, but I just wanted to let any of our listeners know that they are providing a master composter, master recycler certification course in July 2023. So interested persons should look on their website.
July
Ulster-
2023?
that's next month, yeah. It will be offered in 10 sessions on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays in July, starting on July 10th. The course covers many topics, including understanding the waste-climate connection, local recycling and composting programs, the science of composting and soil health, the impacts of plastic pollution, safer alternatives to household hazardous waste, tips for becoming an environmental educator, how to live a low-waste lifestyle, and much more. So it sounds like a great course, but it's intensive. So the application deadline is July 3rd, 2023. And that is, you can look on the Ulster County Resource Recovery Agency website if you're interested. I think this came in their newsletter, which is really quite fascinating. And there are a lot of interesting things. I would recommend that everybody sign up for it.
Done that.
The Repair Cafe, yeah. They're circulating information about repair cafes, but this might be a good time for Mary to tell you about the Repair Cafe that takes place in Pine Hill once a month.
Yeah, once a month in Pine Hill, they have a repair cafe. It's for clothing. So it was started by a lady, Jean Ellsworth, who's from over the line, in Delaware County. But so people bring in their items that need to be repaired, and there's a bunch of ladies show up with their sewing machines, and we'll fix them. And the donation, you pay what you want, and donations go to the community center. And it's really nice because, people have really good clothing, keep it out of the landfill,
Right.
to reuse. And I think the trend is now going towards no more throwaway clothing, because the fashion industry is like the biggest polluter, and you make clothes that last. So
And this is every month?
every month.
Once
So
a month.
it was this past Saturday. So was that the third Saturday? So it's the third Saturday of every
Third
month.
Saturday.
And
Okay,
it's
I-
from 10
10 till 2.
to 2.
No, I'm sorry, 11. They don't open till
Okay, 11 to 2.
Yeah.
I went because, for the Climate Smart Community certification, Repair Cafes is one of the things that if we can show, we get a couple of points. So I went to take some photos, but it was absolutely fascinating. They started in January, and in April and May, they had 40 to 45 people come to get their clothes mended. And the women, there's 6 or 8 menders, there were 2 sewing machines.
Mhm.
They do it on the spot.
Right.
So, if you have a zipper I sat down and pitched right in. I fixed one zipper, and then I got a needle and thread and fixed a waistband on a pair of pants, and it was so much fun because everybody's talking
And it's
and
nice.
working together. How do we solve this one?
I tell my granddaughter about this because she loves to sew, and she has her own sewing machine, so she makes her own clothes. So that might be really
Oh,
great
nice.
for her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, Julia, it's good for school credits, it's good for a lot of different things.
It's really
But-
an amazing,
We used to have a repair cafe in Phoenicia.
talking to the mic, please.
We used to have a repair cafe in Phoenicia for electronics and fans and lights and things like that, and that really went well, and it seemed to have stopped. But maybe that's something that we as a council might want to try to do and get a bunch of us who know something about repairing things. I mean, we couldn't repair everything, but
Yeah.
at least give it a good try before you throw it away.
Exactly.
So
Well, and if anyone's listening, has any skills they'd like to contribute,
That might be
let's
a
think
nice
about that.
winter project for us.
Yeah, it might be.
I think
Yeah.
that would be a great winter project.
Yeah, and I'm sure the community center would be happy to host it.
Sure, yeah,
Yeah.
great, terrific. So, maybe we can put that on the future agenda to, set that up.
Yeah,
Because it's really very easy. I mean, you just needed some tools and a couple of people who kind of know what they're doing.
sure.
And, so, great.
I circulated the Olive CAC Disaster Preparedness Workshop. This is another one of those things on the list of possible activities for which you can get points for the Climate Smart community. And Olive is having one on Thursday, this Thursday. It's free. You register to attend, but you don't have to register. You can walk in. It's at the, I'm not sure. I sent you all the email.
Right.
The last time I went to a similar thing there, it was at the Olive Library, but I'll have to check the venue. Olive CAC does a great job with this. The invitation was well done, and it's well organized, and they get good attendance. So
Now, do we get points if we go to it or if we hold
no,
one?
if we hold one.
If we hold one.
Something to think about again. They also held one on home energy audits, and that was my introduction to that whole thing, and that was excellent. But they had someone come from Cornell Cooperative Extension, and then they shuffled the person who was in charge. So I don't know. Again, they had an expert come and talk about it.
Again, maybe something we can do in the wintertime. That would
Yeah,
be,
yeah. Prepare. So then I also wanted to say, and it's not on the agenda, but last month we reviewed the Climate Education and Engagement Guide that we wrote and approved at our last meeting, and the town board approved that officially by resolution at their meeting in June. So that has been approved and adopted. And my last part of these communications and announcements is the recycling plastic film program. Can you zoom in on this? This is the poster that describes it. There are numerous sites where you can deposit your plastic film. And one of them is the Morton Memorial Library in Pine Hill, the Phoenicia Farmers Market, the Phoenicia Library for the month of July, Pine Hill Community Center, Shandaken Town Hall Recycling Center right out here, and Valero Gas Station. So this is a project of the Shandaken Parks and Rec program. And they entered a recycling challenge through Trex. Trex is the company that makes decking material. To recycle plastic bags and plastic wrap into earth-friendly composite bench for one of our local parks. So if we reach our goal of collecting 500 pounds of plastic by November 2023, we will get a bench. So this is an opportunity to take this material, which is not recyclable through other means, and remove it from the waste stream and help the town earn a bench.
great.
Yeah, and this is the Shandaken Parks and Rec. This is the poster, but Trex also gives advice about what is and is not eligible, and I posted all that in our memo board. So
I saw that out there, it looks good.
thank you, thank you. That's great. This plastic recycling program does raise some issues, however. As wonderful as it is to reduce our use of plastics, we really are still consuming a lot of plastic, and taking it out and recycling it is good, but when it comes to the long-range view, we really have to reduce the production of plastics. And I went to hear a talk and honoring Judith Enck, who's a former EPA administrator of this region. She was appointed under the Obama administration. Pardon me?
She's at Bennington College.
She teaches a course at Bennington College, which sounds amazing. In the fall, I think it costs $100. It's 7 weeks. It's on Zoom, and it's of course. When she left the Obama administration, she went to work, started a company called Beyond Plastics, and she's really trying hard to pass a law which is called the Plastic Packaging and Recycling Act, banning plastic packaging in the state of New York. And it didn't pass this term, but she expects it will next term.
Wow.
So to try to actually scale back the production of plastic is the larger goal.
What was her last name again?
Enck, Judith Enck. This was the
A-N-C-K, I think.
I'll pass this around. This firm that she founded in New Paltz, Beyond Plastics, she describes it as 10, maybe it was 11 pissed off women in a hurry, and Andrew.
And that's great.
So it's
She's often on Friday mornings on the round table on WAMC as their environmental spokesperson.
yes, she is.
May I put my 2 cents?
Please do, and speak into the microphone, Catherine.
Okay. After the last composting meeting at Pine Hill Community Center, I approached the woman who was giving the program and asked about a similar program called TerraCycle, and her opinion on it. And basically, this is the fossil fuel company's attempt to continue our use of fossil fuel plastic products because, hey, we can recycle it and we can turn it into something great. It's not a solution. And I think, as I mentioned in an email to you, let's say you put a Trex deck in and your house burns down and the thing is on fire and it's burning this plastic composite product. The fumes that the firefighters have to deal with is not a safe condition. Plastic is bad all around, and stopping it completely is probably not possible, but it's not a solution to say, oh yes, we can recycle it and turn it into a bench. Great, a bench. I'm sorry, I will contribute, but I really don't think it's a great program.
I think you're right about that, except for one thing. We still have all this plastic on hand that we need to do something responsible with rather than being winding up in the oceans and our lakes. So in the meantime, until there is a solution of eliminating or cutting down the amount of plastic that there is out there, we need a place to bring our plastic because there is no recycling program available except for this to create, to use that plastic to create something that's for building. And I agree with you. I totally agree with you. I just would think that this is still a very good program to have in the interim.
Yes, I said I will contribute, but I'm just looking at the big picture.
It's a huge picture. Yeah.
And it's a way that the fossil fuel companies are trying to get us to continue to use plastic.
Yep.
Because it's, please, Caleb.
Adding on to
Caleb, it's a little hard to hear you. Hard for me to hear you, anyway.
Check. It's
Just wanted to
Thank
talk.
you.
Yeah.
another thing about the bigger picture that I think I might have actually heard at the talk of Beyond Plastics, they did a talk at the Yes Summit, is that a lot of times the biggest issue with these like benches that they still leach microplastics, even if they're just sitting there. So even in, you know, a totally optimal solution, it's still not going to be a completely like ecologically inert substance. So
Yeah. Yeah, and at the talk that Judith Inc. gave, she said only 5 to 6% of the plastic is actually recycled. And in the ocean, for every 3 pounds of fish, there is a pound of plastic. So, I mean, it's a serious crisis caused by the continuing production of plastic. So to try to reduce the problem at the source is what she's working on. And I think it's something that I might be interested in taking her course next fall.
But I still would encourage anybody who has plastic at home to find a place such as this
I do too, and she does also.
to bring it to,
Yeah.
to have it at least kept out of the waste cycle.
Yep, absolutely.
But just one other item. People who bring their plastics to plastic recycling here, only number 1 and 2 in that little triangle symbol on the bottom of whatever product you're trying to recycle are actually potentially recyclable. Those Chinese food containers and yogurt containers and all of that stuff, not recyclable.
So number 6 is a lie?
It's a lie. There are so many numbers that are totally untrue. And this is part of the fossil fuel industry is to pull the wool over our eyes and make us think, oh, there's a recycling symbol on the bottom of it. I can just throw it in my recycling bin. That contaminates the recycling product. That is,
And that's why China won't take it anymore, because we had someone say,
well,
part of the reason.
we don't really want to send it to China either.
No, but I know, but I'm just saying it's contaminated.
Yes, it is contaminated, and I have no idea what happens with this stuff that we have
Well,
put in that bin
You know what,
out
it
there.
gets people thinking, like someone was complaining about the straws, that this guy was going on and on about, I can't believe they banned straws and I can still buy all this other plastic. And my response to him was, but you're talking about it. I said, even though it's a small step, maybe it'd be one, like now we're having this discussion and it does make a difference that everybody's talking about it.
I
Absolutely.
think that's a great point, that awareness
Unfortunately,
is,
not everybody.
awareness
If it was
is-
everybody, then it would be a very different world.
And then I was watching, and to your point, there was an ad that came up on Facebook about this new machine that dissolves plastics. So I got interested in it. I thought, oh, this is a good thing. I'm reading it. Get to the part where in the comments, somebody pointed out that it was a false solution because they have to create a new plastic to be made in this machine. So it just like blew it out of the water. And
Well,
it's the
there's
same
there's a
problem.
potential microbial solution,
Right.
which is a long way away, but there are supposedly creatures that can actually eat the
Right.
plastic, but that's,
And mushrooms.
who's old enough to remember The Graduate, the movie?
Oh,
yeah.
yes. I think of that often. The future is
Is
plastic.
plastic.
That was very prescient.
You
I
know,
think-
that was a line that was gonna live on.
I know.
Yeah.
And
Well-
I think it's important we are talking about it, and especially about straws, because, you know, there's a solution that already exists, and it's not that hard, right? And just as we're old enough to remember certain movies, we're also old enough to remember, you know, paper straws was the thing.
Which is a return
And they would
to.
get soggy and you'd throw them away and whatever, but, you
Yeah.
know, it's easy to go back to that.
I remember bread wrapped in wax paper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
on yogurt.
the, you know, we had the two
The wax containers.
composting classes with Angelina and Tunisia. And at one of them, we brought up some of these issues about recycling. And Angelina said, you need a class on recycling. And I think if you're, you know, if we're interested, we could invite her to come and give a talk
It'd be great.
on recycling in the future. I would say in the fall, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
do a recycling class. Okay. And then we can discuss exactly what happens to the 95 or 4% of plastic that is not being recycled, and how, I mean, there were many other issues that we just touched on lightly that day that she was giving the advanced composting class, but
Can I bring up one horrible result of this plastic? The floods in Pakistan last year.
I'm sorry, I didn't,
The floods in Pakistan
Yeah.
last year. A lot of it was caused by the fact that they don't have a resourceful, responsible solution for eliminating their refuse. It builds up in the streets, it clogs up, and a lot of it's plastic. It's flip-flops, it's plastic bags, it's clogs the drain holes into their sewage system. There's nowhere for the water to go but flooding. This is happening in many, many parts of the world. We obviously have no control over what's going on in the rest of the world, but plastic, it's a monster that is going to be a huge, huge hurdle to overcome.
it is.
It is. I won't eat fish anymore.
Mhm.
It's just,
Microplastics in
Yes.
fish.
Right, we just got used to the mercury. We have to deal with the plastic.
well, you could limit fish intake and only a little mercury. Sorry.
Well, that's it for the communications part, unless anyone has anything else they
Well,
want to bring
just
up.
to follow up, and you're talking about Angelina, perhaps talking about recycling, I think if we want to try to keep as much of this plastic out of the Shandaken recycling program that shouldn't be in there, then that's a good program to have. And again, educating people and make them aware of what the problem is I think the best we can do, because we're not going to solve the plastic problem. Unless you wind up banning plastic in Shandaken, which we won't be able to do because it's going to be a statewide
Yeah.
thing. And I think it hopefully will move in that direction. It's just never fast enough for me.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll move on to committee reports. Now, before we do that, I just want to mention one thing. Today, about 2 hours before this meeting, I got an email from the Olive CAC. They have done an NRI, a natural resource inventory. And now they are working towards doing an open space plan, I think. And they're thinking of applying for a grant, and they wanted to see if we would be interested in partnering with them. But there's a lot of information that I don't know about, so I said, let's look into it and see if you have to do the NRI first. It may be a prerequisite to go on to this next step. But in any case, I will send you the email and keep you up to date, and maybe there'll be an opportunity to apply for a grant with the town of Olive.
Is there
It's
any
nice
way
that they reached out to
Is
us.
there any way that the town of Olive and CAC and town of Shandaken CAC can meet together?
I'm sure there is.
Or is it just a private meeting between all of us so that we can see what page they're on and what
Yeah.
page we're on? And
Well, I went to one of their meetings at the very beginning of this, and that's where I met Simon Strauss, who came and spoke to the board, the
Mhm.
town board last month.
Mhm.
And it was very productive, so I'm planning to go to this disaster preparedness workshop, but I don't know if we can have a joint meeting or a picnic or whatever, but
Mhm.
it is good to talk to them. They're like a year or two ahead of us. Okay, let's move on to committee reports. Compost. Mary, do you have anything to add here?
I have nothing new.
Okay. The only thing I wanted to mention was the recycling class, which we've already talked about, and the film Just Eat It, which was being shown in May as part of Compost Awareness week, I think. And Michael Chaffee saw the film and thought it was excellent. And the Ulster County Resource Recovery Agency has the rights. And Michael asked them, Michael reserved 2 dates at the Phoenicia Playhouse and asked them if, you know, those dates were available. And I don't think he's heard back from them.
I heard back from Michael Connor. He said, "Hi Bruce, just wanted to." Michael Connor is the president of the Shandaken Theatrical Society board. He said, "Hi Bruce, I just want to let you know we've scheduled an event to present." Oh my God, my eyes.
Just eat it.
I'm trying to.
I can, if that helps.
Yeah, can you read that? My eyes aren't focusing.
Hi Bruce, just wanted to let you know that we've scheduled an event to present the plaque honoring Barry.
Oh, nope, that's the wrong one. Okay. Yeah, no, that's the wrong one.
I think I
Hang on.
didn't get too far into that
He
one.
asked me to run the projector for this event. He gave me 2 dates.
Okay, well, I don't know that we've heard back from Ulster County Resource Recovery Agency.
Okay, so the
So we
two,
need to follow up on this, but they were both in August, as I recall, which is the time that I go out of town, so
right,
I don't want to,
right. Well, they have blocked 2 dates that we could use the theater.
I know, but now we haven't heard about the film. Is it available on those
Right.
dates?
Okay, who's going to be looking
And-
into that?
Well, you and Michael, as far as I know. I mean, they wanted to schedule it a little, quickly so that they could do advanced publicity, because Ulster County Resource Recovery Agency has a big website and a lot of,
Yeah.
a lot of outreach, more than we do. So we just need to contact Tunisia, I think, and firm it up.
Okay,
I mean, I'm happy to send her an email and copy you and Michael.
that'd be great.
All right,
Okay.
I'll email Tunisia.
But I did get, which I can't find right now, but I did get an email from him asking me if I would run the projector for that. If I'm
Okay, so
familiar.
I will try to, I was copied on an email from Michael, so I probably,
Maybe it was Chaffee that sent it
Chaffee sent the email.
to me. Okay, hang on.
Well, he copied me on an email. All right, I'll try to follow up with Tunisia and see if we
All
can.
right, but anyway,
See if we can-
the theater's on board.
The theater has agreed to it,
Right.
but again, we need to do the outreach, posters, publicity, get it on the town website, get it on whatever else. So, okay. I will try to accelerate this a little bit.
All right, here it is. Hey there, will you be around either the 13th or the 20th of August? I need some help on an operator for the projector. Hi Tunisia, okay, so this was copied to her.
Yeah, we haven't heard back from her.
Okay. So it's the 13th or the 20th of August,
Yeah,
are those 2 dates.
yeah.
And so we're sponsoring that, right?
We are,
Okay.
Shandaken CAC,
Okay.
or Town of Shandaken, or whatever.
Okay. So as soon as I hear anything, I'll email you all and let you know.
In partnership with the Phoenicia Playhouse.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. They're giving this place for free.
Right, and we'll just ask for donations and they'll go to the Playhouse.
Donations and, maybe there will be food at the concession stand or whatever.
Yeah.
So we'll work it out.
Michael said it was a great film, so,
Okay,
but again, as I said, I won't be around in August, so that's
okay.
it.
We're going to have to survive without
You'll do fine.
you. No, we won't.
Comprehensive plan, Mary, how's that going?
We're plugging along, starting to get into the meat of it, and this past meeting, we talked about the environment and how much more we have to put into the document to the thing, because it has been 18 years. So all the things that have come to the forefront. And, you know, we're gonna be environmental this time.
Good. Well, let us know if you need any input from us.
Sure, yeah, that's good.
Okay. And Rob, over to you and Ulster County EMC.
Yeah,
et cetera.
so I got to attend an Ulster County Environmental Management Council meeting on the 31st. I guess it's about my 5th or 6th. I was sworn in officially, so I can't get out of it too easily now. And what was quite interesting was Jen Metzger, Ulster County legislator, was there. And she talked a lot about the challenges that the county is looking at with regard to electrification in its widest sense. Like, how are we using electricity? How are we producing electricity? How are we being efficient with it? What's happening at power plants and sites where they make electricity? So I was very encouraged that they have such a broad focus on it, and that she knows a lot about it. And then bringing it, back to our town level, one of the things that I brought up, and this was also in the meeting that you told me about that Manajo chaired, which basically, again, was a collection of folks that were figuring out, how do we let people know all the energy resources that are available to them. And one of the things we talked about in both meetings was, can we have some sort of communication mechanism and strategy where townspeople can get a sense that there are resources that are trusted that can be used, and that they not only exist within our town, but they exist in other towns as well. And so the example that was brought up from an awareness campaign was like the United Way charitable organization. They used to have this United Way thermometer, and when you pulled into a community, you could sort of see the thermometer, and it showed where you were versus a target. We're in a similar situation in the sense that we've got the opportunity for folks to say, oh, what percent or what number of homes in the town have had a free energy audit, right? Which is something we're encouraging our townspeople to do, right? If you or somebody a loved one, whomever, a neighbor, felt like they were paying too much last year for energy, or were uncomfortable because part of their house was warm or cold or whatever, the free energy audit is a great way to get started down that path. And then how do we, raise the attention outside of this room at the community level? And how do we even make it competitive in a friendly way across the different towns within the county? Rosendale's doing this, Kingston's doing this, Shandaken's doing this, in terms of letting people know, oh, I see this is going on. I can get a free energy audit too. I didn't know that. I'm going to go do that. And we realize that it's not just about free energy audits. The next thing that will be coming along will be, who's gotten a free solar assessment of how much energy your home can produce, and what it would cost, and what the rebates are, and other programs. So that's something that I'm digging into myself. I'll share it with our energy group, and then we can have a larger conversation about it. As I've mentioned in the past, I've got a fuel oil heating system that's making hot water and 6 zones of heat, and I want to convert some of them to be powered solar. And I'm going to do that through a ground source heat pump or a geothermal heat pump. And there's credits associated with that. But there's also, some simple mathematical calculations that are not top of mind for people, but they're not that complicated. I know I burn 1,200 gallons of fuel a year. That's a ridiculous amount of fuel. And when you look at a furnace that has an efficiency of 80% versus a geothermal heat pump that's got a coefficient of performance of 5, it's actually like 6 times more efficient. So when I need to calculate how big does my solar array have to be so that at the end of the year I've made just enough electricity for all my own personal needs, including heating my home. Making progress on those calculations. Again, I'll share them, and then we can have a little information session or create a pamphlet or something like that.
That's great.
That would help people go through that.
That's
Well,
excellent.
I think your point is really good about trying to get this information outside of this room
Yeah.
to the public so that they can take advantage of this. We have the 4th of July event coming up, and do we plan on having a table at the parish field?
Well, I think we were gonna talk about the Fourth of July
Yeah.
after this meeting, but yes,
Well,
I
we
would
can-
say we should have a table.
Right, like we did last year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And have, maybe there's a handout that we can have made that would give people the opportunity to go where they can go to get this free audit.
Yeah.
And
We
all
have
the
those,
information.
yeah.
Okay, so, that's one way of getting it out to the public, having them perhaps at the libraries. So there's a table, we might have a table at the library, people can just pick out things themselves, like we
Yeah.
did at the bank for
Yeah.
that period of
Right.
time. But we do need to get the information out, because
Yeah.
that's just talking about ourselves is not gonna help.
Right.
well, I think having a workshop meeting, the way the town of Olive did, where we notify everyone in town and have it, a presentation from the man who was named, well, it doesn't matter because I don't think he's involved anymore, but he worked for Cornell Cooperative Extension,
Mm-hmm.
and he was the NYSERDA expert. You
Yeah.
know, we need to think about that, I think, for maybe in the fall,
Yep.
a real
Another winter
official
project.
program, yeah.
And in the meantime, we just remind all of our residents to go to shandaken.us, and on the front page, there is a link on the right side for a free energy audit. So,
Yep.
no charge, and depending on your income level, some of the things that they will recommend, the energy conservation measures, will actually be funded. So you may not have a charge even to do some of those energy conservation measures, which are
Right.
always a good thing. They just save you money, make you more comfortable.
Right. Thank you. Now, Bruce,
Okay.
where are we
charger?
on the EV charging front here?
All right, so I contacted Sean Hemwani, his name is, who is with INF Associates, who's did the survey with us. And I asked him about grants and so on and so forth, and he said that they are waiting for the NYSERDA funding to come through. And so it's better for us, meaning all of us, to get that information before we finalize the numbers. He said that he might be able to get some rough numbers together by tonight, but then he decided, why put out a false number? Let's wait until we get the actual numbers together so that we can present it to the board. I asked him also about currently the NACS standard that is now become a big deal in EV charging, and that is a different kind of plug that's used to charge the cars. It's a Tesla system, and Tesla has opened up that system to anybody who wants to use it. So it's a big game changer.
It is.
And I asked him about that, and he said that unfortunately the NACS system, in other words, we shouldn't put that kind of system in because there's no funding available for it.
That's too bad.
Yeah, it is too bad. But there are going to be adapters that the owners of vehicles that don't have that system could use to plug in their EVs into an NACS charger. So it really, it's an issue, but it's not an issue. Eventually, the entire industry will probably go in that direction. And cars will be retrofitted to accept that kind of plug. That's all just really in the background, but his development team is working on all 3 sites that we gave him, and hopefully he'll have something for me by the end of next week. So we're putting all our eggs in that one basket for the time being, because these people are following up, and
Yeah.
they're cooperating with us, and without a charge, by the way. I think that if once we hand this over to the town board and say, well, here's the research we've done, this is the best we've come up with, then these people can do their presentation to them and sell the system to the town. But we're just waiting for the numbers, and that's what I haven't been able to get as of yet, because of NYSERDA is still formulating their numbers,
Well, it sounds like we're getting closer.
inch by inch.
Caleb, did you have anything to add?
Well, I mean, without the funding, I guess it's not really on the table, but with NICS, recently in the past month, both GM and Ford have
Yeah.
announced their switches.
Right.
So that was like a massive milestone that kind of indicates that that's where the whole industry is going. But if there's not funding, then it just takes it off the table.
And I think it's gonna be a domino effect.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called, a domino effect? A cascading effect, domino effect?
Yeah.
Domino effect, where I think other manufacturers are gonna follow through as well.
Yeah.
So it's a big deal, but it really doesn't affect how we're moving at this point.
No.
It really shouldn't make any difference because there will be adapters for that.
Yeah.
The other news is that Bel Air has in their report this year is installing chargers. I have to call them. I want to find out what kind of chargers they're putting in, how many they're putting in. So just for an idea, I don't think that affects what we need to do because that's it's sort of like a private hotel. The people who are going to go to Bel Air are going to charge there. But everybody else who is coming to our town still needs a place to charge.
Sure.
So
In town,
I'm
yeah.
thrilled to hear that they're putting them in. Again, it shouldn't change what we're trying to do.
Right.
and
No,
getting
I don't think it
chargers in
affects
town.
what we're
No,
trying to do.
No, not at all.
Okay,
That's my report.
thank you. Now, Caleb, Angel, MJ, and I are working on the Government Operations Climate Action Plan. And we have attended, I think it was 4 or 5 meetings with the person who's assigned to us to help us with this process. And we have had 4 or 5 meetings with town officials. And now it is up to us to write the plan. And this is a really significant document because this is going to suggest ways for the town to reduce their greenhouse gas over the next 5 years. So I am not exactly sure how the 5 of us are going to write this thing. But I think what I'm going to do is to take the template and kind of go through it and make a draft of some sort, and then work with each of you to try to improve it. And unless you think you should write one section, Angel write a section, me write a section, I think having something to work from to start with is easier than trying to,
Yep.
to have some kind of it'll be skeletal, but some kind of a draft based on our meetings with Melanie and our meetings with the town officials. And I'm hoping to do that.
Is there an outline that you can follow?
Yes, they've given us an outline.
Okay.
So I'll work on that.
Hey
and
Caleb, what about an AI bot?
Yeah, ChatGPT. I'd like that. That would be really great.
Actually, it would be very helpful.
Yeah.
You
It could
You could
be.
generate a lot of
Yeah.
material, and then,
Yeah.
you gotta go read it, but you're probably not too far off.
Now, this Government Operations Climate Action Plan is the second in what I think is a 3-phase, 3 set of actions that build one on another. So
Mhm.
the first one was our greenhouse gas inventory. And now that showed us, what our use was and where the biggest emissions were of greenhouse gases. And so now we're taking the Government Operations Climate Action Plan and looking at where those high emissions are and how we can reduce it in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And the next step is called the Community Operations Climate Action Plan. And that involves the residents and businesses of the town of Shandaken. And they presented it as it's the same idea. We work as a team and they have a kind of leader or guide. And it starts in the fall. And they want to know if we want to do this. So, it's each one of these becomes more complicated because, you know, we started just reviewing what the town had done. That was easy. We just get the data, put it in. But then now we're reviewing, now we're trying to make suggestions for how the town should operate. And that's a little trickier, you know, what kinds of changes they should make. And then the third phase is dealing with the community. So I'm a little reluctant. I'd like to see us finish this second phase, you know, the climate operations, government operations climate action plan,
Are there
before
any-
moving on to the
Are there any
community.
resources that you could find, human or internet resources you could find that would, if you plug in, for instance, the trucks use 5 gallons of gas, you know, every 3 miles or whatever it is, you know, to feed that in and see what the solution to that. You're looking for solutions to the data
Right.
that you
Yes.
came up with.
Yes, there is some assistance in that, but my question right now is, do we want to enter into the third phase this fall? Do we want to undertake a community operations climate action plan, dealing with the much bigger picture, not just the government operations? This is
I see.
you and you and you and everybody who lives here and how they are, and they're.
Well, do you have to do that all in 1 year? I mean, can you work on just the town for this year and then the following year perhaps?
Well, I'm sure we could delay it a year,
Mm-hmm.
but it starts in the fall. In other words, this is like you take basically what amounts to being a class. And you have Zoom meetings. That's what Angel and Caleb and I have been doing since January. We started in January on the government operations, maybe it was February, climate action plan. And we've had meetings once a month, and then we followed those meetings with town officials. This is a lot of work, and I think everyone would have to be involved in this community climate action plan in a serious and sustained way, and that I'm a little, yes, Angel.
I have an idea. I mean, in terms of like where we would have to sort of start to put something together, and I think that, do we have a copy of a plan already completed that we can look at to sort of follow some of the structure that we can sort of then use in our plan for our recommendations? Like, does Olive's already gone to this first phase, right? So we're starting, maybe we can look at theirs, see what kind of language they have adopted, and perhaps incorporate that into our plans and for our recommendations moving forward. And then down the line, I think we're also gonna have to carve out some time just to prepare that part of it so that we can start to edit as we get, our refine, our choices, Bruce with Evie and Robert, some of these, and, everyone involved sort of have their specialty to tie in, and then sort of start to tweak the language, but not completed, obviously. But do we have copies of a previous plan that we can look at?
I think I circulated it to everyone, a copy of Kingston's plan.
You
It
did?
was
Okay.
some
I'll
months
look at
ago.
my email.
The community one?
I think it was a community one. But I would like to see us all work on this government operations climate action plan and really get that thing nailed down before we undertake a community one, and I just don't see us,
Yeah, one step at a time.
I don't see us
That's my
finishing
feeling,
it
if you-
by the fall necessarily.
But
And
you
Angel's
don't
right,
need
I
to
mean-
worry about that. I think
Yeah.
you just don't look at the final outcome. Look at what you need to do now,
Yeah.
or we need to
That's
do.
how you eat an elephant, right? One bite at a time.
Well, that's what we're doing with this. But I don't
Are
want,
you-
I don't
do you-
need 2 elephants.
No.
Right.
Do you want us to all agree to say that we should agree that we won't do the community one, but we'll do the government one for the town of
I
Shandaken.
guess that's kind of what I'm thinking, is that we should finish our government one and everybody get involved and get our 2 cents in, and so that we create a document that we can all really stand behind, and then,
And Angel's right, I mean, we don't have to reinvent the wheel.
well, they're giving us a template, so, I
Yeah.
mean, we're not inventing the wheel, no. Angel, I agree with you, that I'm sure the Kingston one is daunting, because, I mean, they have, I don't know how many employees they have and how many trucks they have, and, it's overwhelming, because it's on a scale that is so different from ours.
Right.
But there are other towns that are more like us, that we can look at their plans, for instance, and see
Yeah.
how they did it. And I'm all in favor of doing that kind of background research.
Because then we could perhaps hold a workshop among ourselves just
Yeah.
to get the ball rolling and then sort of tweak it.
Okay. I will try to take the template and put some notes in from my notes from the meetings that we've attended, and then we can all work together to firm it up. All right. Natural resource inventory, we're not starting that yet, but maybe,
Well, I have a long ago made outline that I hope to start working
Yeah.
on again.
but we can also get assistance through the Hudson River Estuary Grants Program. And so I think maybe we need to look into that and make some inquiries about when the money is available and how to apply for a grant to help us with this process.
And that sounds like something we can tie into the comprehensive plan too. If that would
Yeah,
Yeah.
consolidate the funding to, kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
yeah, that would be good. Yeah.
I understand an analogy.
Yeah.
All right. I heard from Kevin Van Blarkum that he's on a committee that is planning the new park that's going to be created
By the bridge.
at the Mount Tremper Bridge. And one aspect that he was talking about was creating a pollinator pathway through the park. So, I mean, that would be very exciting if that took place. Did they do one onto your school? Were you telling us that once?
Yeah, it's one of the student government bought a bunch of, they already purchased all of the plans, but they haven't been installed. And right now there's kind of a big issue about how we mow the lawn, because we have to get, it's difficult to have a narrow stretch that they can't mow, so we're trying to get it so that we can, have it be completely unmowed. So the planning process is difficult, but it's the Eco Club and the Student Club is working on it, and next year. So hopefully by the beginning of next year we're gonna have them actually planted.
Okay,
But
great.
They did do one behind the Pine Hill Community Center.
And I think there's one at the Emerson too.
Oh, nice.
And also at,
In my yard. It's in my yard.
it's in Kingston, but
Maybe
there's
we
another
can
one in
back
Kingston. At Kenco.
In my MRI.
Kenco has
Yeah.
one.
Beth, do we get points for mapping our pollinator gardens, maybe?
I'll look it up. I'm not sure. I don't,
half a
not that I
point.
know
I
of.
think it could be part of the NRI when
Yeah.
that actually
Yeah.
gets
Okay.
underway, completed.
Could we, are you done?
Well, if we're finished with the meeting, we can adjourn the meeting, and these people can go home, and we can talk about the 4th of July and
Okay.
what we might do for that.
All right.
Is that,
Yep.
Yeah, great.
Motion to
is that
adjourn.
agreeable with everyone?
Yep, motion to adjourn then. You got it? I'll second it.
Okay, 7:31.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Good
Thank you.
night.
And you